that I'm still in the like famous category, but I mean, I was at one time. Yeah, so most people know me from a TV show called All That on Nickelodeon, and the show itself was on for 10 years, and it was rebooted actually in 2019 for two more seasons. I mean, that was back at the time when there was no Netflix and there was no streaming services, so kids on a Saturday night had pretty much two options, three if you count Cartoon Network. But for live action, you either watch the Disney Channel or you watch Nickelodeon. And just having that many eyes on me, every Saturday night for 4 years, all that started airing and it started like people started to know me. I couldn't go anywhere. Like I couldn't go to the mall. I couldn't go to the grocery store because if there was another kid, like they knew me and they would just like, oh my gosh, it's Lisa. And like it's like so much attention. Obviously, I was so appreciative of having fans and I was so nice to any fan. I've been nice to any fan I've ever encountered because I truly believe like you're the reason I got to do what I got to do and what I said still what I get to do. But it was shocking. Like when you're 13 and you are shy and now all of a sudden just kids are just bombarding you around every corner. Like it was quite an adjustment to go from obscurity to fame seemingly overnight, even though, what they say about an overnight success is it's many years in the making. Hollywood is very cutthroat and it's a weird industry and there's weird standards and there's a lot of rejection and it's easy for like like a kind-hearted kid like me to, kind of take a lot of that personally. And my parents were like, you need to move away. You need to get away from LA for a couple years. You can always come back, but you need to get away, go make regular friends, like go do regular life stuff. And then when you're ready, you can come back. So around age 18, 19, I left and I went back to Portland, Oregon for a while. And so I was very used to high pressure situations just because that's what I had done since I was like 5. And so I don't think, I'd say the only thing that kind of messed me up about the industry was that I started to care too much. You nail the audition, that's your only job as an actor. Nail the audition. Not your job to book, it's not your job to book the role. You can't you have no control over that. Once you audition and you give it your all, if you're not the right fit, if you don't have the right hair color, if you don't have the right skin color, if you don't have the small enough nose, like any reason under the sun, casting, the producers, the director, they will not choose you for that role. And most of the time does not have anything to do with talent. And I started to really lose sight of that because after all that ended and I got a couple other roles, I had some really heartbreaking things happen where it's like three really big movies specifically that I'm not going to name them, but I either booked the role and then it was taken away from me at the last minute because they got a bigger star, or it came down to like me and one other girl after many callbacks and then they went with the other girl. And these were massive projects. These were life-changing projects that I didn't get. And three of those happened, three of those like losing out on that role. Three of them happened in like the span of like 6 months. And it started really like sending me into this depression because I just wasn't that type of kid. Like I said, even I still would have picked acting every time. I still would have picked being on all that and doing TV and auditioning like on a weekly basis. Like I still would have picked that every time. But I am glad that my kids are happy and they're thriving and they're smart. Like I'm just trying to give them the best childhood that works for them. And I still don't like that, and I know every family can do what they want, but still bothers me when I see a movie where they like have the kid swear. Like y you pursue what's working for you at that time, right? So like at first I didn't want to be a host because I'm like I'm an actor. Like I'm not a host with a microphone. Like I want to be a character. But there were so many lucrative jobs for hosting that I kind of just forced myself to develop that skill set. And I've definitely made more money hosting than I ever did acting. I just never let it stop me. Yeah, I'm in my late 30s and I'm still running around on stage with cover bands and I could see how people without my drive and passion could look on the outside and be just like she's a mother and a wife and she's running around on stage in Las Vegas. Like what is she doing? but I'm a big believer that age is just a number and that's the crappy part. It's just the way it was back then. Now I think because they've merged, I think there's much more residuals happening, but yeah, it's crappy. I think it was common knowledge that Disney kids got paid way better than Nickelodeon kids.
Uh, hey everyone, this is Abhi from No-Budget Filmmaking Podcast, and here with me it's Lisa. Hi Lisa, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I know you're famous, but for those who don't know and not cool, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure, I don't know that I'm still in the like famous category, but I mean, I was at one time. Yeah, so most people know me from a TV show called All That on Nickelodeon, and the show itself was on for 10 years, and it was rebooted actually in 2019 for two more seasons. But yeah, that was my favorite show growing up before I even became an actor, before I even moved to LA. I loved All That. I was obsessed with it. I just thought it was so funny. I mean, I loved old SNL and I loved the Carol Burnett show and just sketch comedy in general. I've always been really attracted to. So the fact that I was able to, I moved to LA and then I got an audition for the brand new cast where in season 7 they decided to just scrap every cast member and just get a brand new, fresh set of kids. And there were 7 of us for season 7 of All That. So, yeah, I mean, that was back at the time when there was no Netflix and there was no streaming services. So, kids on a Saturday night had pretty much two options, three if you count Cartoon Network. But for live action, you either watch the Disney Channel or you watch Nickelodeon. And just having that many eyes on me, every Saturday night for 4 years. Yeah, I got to garner a little bit of fame, and yeah, so that's probably how most people know me. But yeah, but that was a long time ago.
Oh, n- uh, how long and what character did you play if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, yeah. So because it was sketch comedy, we played probably three different characters every episode. I mean, that was the most fun part of being on that show, is that every Monday morning we'd get our scripts and we would run to our door to pick up the script on our front step and like I'd furiously read it to see what characters I was playing that week because it would always change. So probably my most memorable characters would be Claudia, the goth girl from Slumber Party, Kathy from Sugar and Coffee, and probably Heather from Together Forever. But other memorable sketches were like Know Your Stars and Randy Quench and Thelma Stump, which was Jamie Lynn Spears' character. And yeah, so those are probably the big ones.
Hmm.
I was on for 4 years.
Oh,
And
four
that was
years.
from, I want to say that started in 2001, I think is when was my first season. Long time ago.
Okay. So 2001 to 2005, if I'm assuming.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, that sounds
Oh,
about right.
okay. Okay, so what got you into the industry? You said you moved in LA. Was it because of acting only, or was it since you were a kid? So I'm assuming there was your parents moved too, and
Yes, yeah, my whole family moved. So, um, ever since I was 3 years old, I showed so much interest in singing and dancing, and I would just dance around the house. So my parents put me in dance lessons pretty early on. I think my first dance competition, I was like 5 or 6 years old. Like I was really small. But especially tap dancing. I loved tap dancing. And that ended up kind of being like my specialty as a competitive dancer was tap. But yeah, I was doing all sorts of dance. I was going to ballet class and jazz class, and I was doing a little bit acrobatics. I was doing obviously tap dancing, and then I loved singing, so my parents put me in singing lessons. So I was doing that once a week, and then I wanted to put them all together, so I did theater. So then I was also doing theater productions. I mean, I was a busy child, my whole childhood, incredibly busy, and that's why I was homeschooled because it just didn't make sense to go to traditional school, get out at 3 p.m. and then go straight to the dance studio for 4 more hours or whatever I was doing that night. It just didn't make sense. And I was getting really overwhelmed. So thankfully, my parents homeschooled me, which made it very easy to move if we needed to. But yeah, after just years of doing that and winning so many first place trophies, which my mom has kept like all of my trophies. I swear, I think I have like 300 trophies. She's like kept all of them. I'm like, Mom, like get rid of them. But I think she's donated a bunch from to like Special Olympics and like other charities and stuff, which is great. But yeah, it just kind of got to the point where I had exhausted the entertainment industry in Washington and Oregon and that whole area. So one of the judges came up to my parents at one of the competitions and said, "Hey, we've seen her every year. She's amazing. She gets better and better, but like she's not going to have a career in this if she lives in the Pacific Northwest. Like you need to move to LA." We had a serious chat about it and we knew a couple friends who had like one or two connections in LA, like a little tiny agency that like would be willing to talk to me. So we moved to LA and well, Riverside. So we moved out a little further from LA. My parents were not interested in, having a cement wall outside my window in LA. It's so expensive to live there. So we bought a house in Riverside so I could still have a yard and still be a kid. And yeah, just had that audition with the agency and they brought me on and I started auditioning and probably 2 years after was when I got the AllThat audition. So yeah, it all unfolded the way it was supposed to. So
Yeah. And how did it change afterwards when you were done with all that?
yeah, it was so funny because I actually was kind of a shy kid, to be honest. I knew when to like turn it on, right? Like I knew when I'm on stage to like be bigger than life and when I'm singing to like reach the back row. But in general, just as a kid, I was shy. So then when AllThat started airing and it started like people started to know me, I couldn't go anywhere. Like I couldn't go to the mall. I couldn't go to the grocery store because if there was another kid, like they knew me and they would just like, oh my gosh, it's Lisa. And like it's like so much attention. Obviously, I was so appreciative of having fans and I was so nice to any fan. I've been nice to any fan I've ever encountered because I truly believe like you're the reason I got to do what I got to do and what I said still what I get to do. So I love fans and I always try to spend as much time with them as I can. But but it was shocking. Like when you're 13 and you are shy and now all of a sudden just kids are just bombarding you around every corner. Like it was quite an adjustment to go from obscurity to fame seemingly overnight, even though, what they say about an overnight success is it's many years in the making. But uh yeah, so I got to achieve that level of fame in LA and I got to go to red carpet events and award shows and kind of live that fun life. Being under 21, like obviously I'm not like, going to the adult events, right? But yeah, it was awesome. But there came a time where I had spent such a chunk of my childhood formative years in LA and just so wrapped up in the industry that my parents were starting to get worried that um not that I was getting like cocky or a big head or anything. I've always been very humble, but just they wanted to make sure I had a real kid experience, right? Like I could really be a teenager and I could have other regular teenage friends. Hollywood is very cutthroat and it's a weird industry and there's weird standards and there's a lot of rejection and it's easy for like a kind-hearted kid like me to, kind of take a lot of that personally. And my parents were like, you need to move away. You need to get away from LA for a couple years. You can always come back, but you need to get away, go make regular friends, like go do regular life stuff. And then when you're ready, you can come back. So around age 18, 19, I left and I went back to Portland, Oregon for a while. And it's one of the best things I ever did. So glad I did that. It gave me such a better perspective on, my life, my career, the industry. And yeah, so then after that, I of course, because I'm born to be an entertainer, I didn't just quit acting. I was still doing acting up in Portland, doing music. And yeah, to this day, I'm still acting, singing, modeling, performing on stage. Like it's part of who I am, and I will always do that.
In Portland or in all over US?
Well, I mean, it was in Portland for a while. I'm in Las Vegas right now, but I lived in Portland for a bit, got to do Leverage up there, the TV show, which it's very rare that a big TV show, like a network TV show, films in a town that's not LA, or at least at the time it was. So I got very lucky that I was living in Portland. Leverage was filming in Portland. I got to audition. I booked the role. I got to do that up there. But a couple years later, I moved back to LA, and that's kind of got back in the industry. It's where I met my husband, who was working on Big Bang Theory at the time.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it made sense for us about 10 years ago to move to Las Vegas. It feels like a fairy tale place that people don't live in Las Vegas, but we do. And it's surprisingly a small town outside of the crazy strip. Like the strip is larger than life and full of tourists and neon lights and silliness. But outside of the strip, very, very normal city with normal people.
Yes. Okay, I have to ask. Is your husband what's his name?
His name is Sean. But yeah, he worked in post-production for Big Bang Theory. And yeah, he's more on the production side of
Oh,
things. So
okay.
even now at MGM, he works in production and putting together film shoots and filming things that go on all the marquees. And so I was so blessed to find somebody that was in the industry but wasn't an actor. I've always had like a very strong personal code that like I don't date actors, I don't date artists. Like it's just I know how crazy we are. I don't want two of us together. Like that's insane. So I very much stuck to that my entire life. So meeting Sean was just the best of both worlds because he understood the industry. He understood how cutthroat and volatile being an actor is and being an entertainer is. Um, but yet he wasn't, that's not him, right? Like he's doing more production. So, yeah, it's been great. We have two little kids and we love living here and there's a decent industry here. So, yeah,
What do you mean by decent industry? Is it the entertainment or the film?
a little bit of both. So, the film industry here is it's definitely growing. I mean, I'm sure you heard that we were hopefully going to pass a bunch of bills to bring out sound stages and a bunch of studios and like really go for it. And that bill did not pass. It shows up about every 4 years, and people get really excited. They're like, "We're going to be the new LA, like we're going to be the new hot spot to film movies." Never happens. Um, there are like tax breaks, and there are some advantages of filming here, but we're just not going to have Hollywood style sound stages just anytime soon. It's just not going to happen. But this town really, it's surprisingly small, and there is a lot of work in terms of this is a tourist destination. We have all of these hotels that need to advertise to the whole world what they do and who they are. So I work fairly consistently, doing commercials and voiceover work and some modeling stuff here and there, hosting, just for all the shenanigans that happen on the strip and in Las Vegas. So yeah, it's not as big a work as you'd find in LA, but I'd say it's more consistent and there's a little bit less competition, which is really nice. And once you it's pretty easy to make connections if you know, if you make sure that you're kind to everyone and you're respectful and you learn everybody's names and you're just very professional on set. You'll get hired by the same production company over and over and over here just because there's not that many. So if they really like working with you and you made their day easy, they'll be like, get her back. Like, get her back for that commercial, get her back for that shoot. So,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. And what if like okay, there's one question in my mind, and it's up to you if you want to answer it. But after not so recent, but recent discoveries about the exploitation that a lot of child performers faced during their shooting times with Nickelodeon and everything. Did you had any of those experience or no?
I personally didn't. Obviously, I can't speak to anybody else's experience and what they went through. Like, that is absolutely their truth to tell. That is, they can they're absolutely, I believe them, and I am in full support of making sure that there's practices in place to continue to keep kids safe on set. And anytime there's a working kid, it's just it's a job, right? Like it's very strange for a kid to have a job where you have to show up on time and you have to do the work and you have to know your lines and know your marks. And then you don't, you have to go to school on set and then you have to head to the wardrobe and you have to make it like it's a job. Like I was working when I was on all that. So, I have two kids now and I mean, I was working when I was their age and I'm like, I don't think they are cut out for this. Like I can't imagine my daughter now being on set and working the hours that I worked in that capacity. I loved it and I would have chosen it every time. But I don't think that she has my work ethic. It's just not her thing. She's much more academic. Like she's very book smart, which I mean, I was okay, but I was definitely the entertainer. Um, but uh, but yeah, I can't speak to anybody else's experience. All I can say is that I felt safe all the time, 100% of the time. I felt safe on set. I never saw anything that I thought was concerning. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can only speak from my experience. And that's all I can say. But I had a great time. I would do it all over again. I loved it. I always felt safe. Had a great time.
Hmm. Okay, that's really relieving to know. Relieving or yeah, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, to know that everyone that you guys felt safe and everything, and it's really good. And apart from that, you briefly touched upon it, but how much it affect you mentally to work every day? You loved it, and you felt safe, and you wanted to entertain, but again, it's a stressful job for
Yeah, yeah,
adults.
yeah. For sure. I think because I was so used to the grind after being a competitive dancer, which I would argue was harder, right? Like for one competition, I'd sometimes have like 8 dances, right? And that's choreography for all of them. It's working with other dancers. It's the rehearsal hours and the classes that went into that performance beforehand, just weeks and weeks of practices and rehearsals and, you know, just high stakes of competition, right? Like just, it's me versus this girl, like in the final round of this competition, and you got to go out there and you got to do your role. So I was very used to high pressure situations just because that's what I had done since I was like 5. And um, so I don't think, I'd say the only thing that kind of messed me up about the industry was that I started to care too much. And that's a big reason why my parents were like, you got to move out here is because I lost sight of the fact that it's not my job to book the role. It's my job to do well in the audition. You nail the audition, that's your only job as an actor. Nail the audition. Not your job to book, it's not your job to book the role. You have no control over that. Once you audition and you give it your all, if you're not the right fit, if you don't have the right hair color, if you don't have the right skin color, if you don't have the small enough nose, like any reason under the sun, casting, the producers, the director, they will not choose you for that role. And most of the time does not have anything to do with talent. I mean, sometimes it does, but like, I mean, really, it's like, it's the look. There's so many other factors. And I started to really lose sight of that because after all that ended and I got a couple other roles, I had some really heartbreaking things happen where it's like 3 really big movies specifically that I'm not going to name them, but I either booked the role and then it was taken away from me at the last minute because they got a bigger star, or it came down to like me and one other girl after many callbacks and then they went with the other girl. And these were massive projects. These were life-changing projects that I didn't get. And 3 of those happened, 3 of those like losing out on that role. 3 of them happened in like the span of like 6 months. And it started really like sending me into this depression because I wanted this more than anything. Like I wanted to be a movie star. I wanted to keep doing TV. Like, you know, I just was so passionate about it. And then when I didn't get the role and then I didn't get the role and I didn't get the role, it was just like really messing with my head. So that's when my parents were like, you gotta go. You need to go because this is not normal. And like a 18-year-old kid should not have to deal with the stress of like not landing the movie that you wanted to land. Like you should be worrying about like who are you gonna go to prom with? You know, like you should be worried about like what college do you want to go to? Like where are your friends going on Saturday night? Like, it was a lot of those. I didn't have a lot of real life kid experience at that age, right? Because again, I was homeschooled, so I didn't go to, and I mean, I ended up going to proms with like friends who would invite me to their prom, but like I didn't have like homecoming. I like didn't have like school spirit day. Like I didn't have a football team. Like I just didn't have any of that. And especially now, like with my kids, like going to school and being at the same school for all these years, like I see like how important it is to like have friends at school and like have a school experience and spirit day and like painting their faces for like the football team. Like it's like really cute and fun. I didn't have that. And not that I regret it because I would again I'd pick being on TV every time. But it was just the fact that in my late teens I was just getting too wrapped up in my career and not just enjoying my teens. So thankfully my parents had the foresight to help me just leave the industry for a while, and it was the best thing I ever did.
Mm. And it's mostly because and I think, if I may ask, are you trying to relive your school memory through your, not reliving, you're living your school life through your kids by any
A
chance?
little bit, although I'm glad that I'm not them because like I've never liked classrooms and I don't like homework and I'm really bad at math. And so every like and Chloe's really good at it, my daughter Chloe. So like she's doing like algebra. She's 9 and they're like she's doing algebra. And I'm just like I can't help you. I'm already to the point where I cannot help her with her homework. I'm like I can't help you like as dad. Um but yeah, it's just fun to see it. I don't I'm not sad I missed out on it just because like I enjoy seeing it. I'm glad that they're having fun, but I just wasn't that type of kid. Like I said, even I still would have picked acting every time. I still would have picked being on all that and doing TV and auditioning like on a weekly basis. Like I still would have picked that every time. But I am glad that my kids are happy and they're thriving and they're smart. Like I'm just trying to give them the best childhood that works for them. So,
And I think your parents did everything right in terms of you, right? Even though you were, I would say, child actor or a teenage actor.
yeah, definitely child actor. I mean, I started working in the industry at 12. So,
Yeah,
or TV acting. I was acting before that, but like actually moving to LA was at 12.
yeah. So child acting is, and it's a good thing that your parents did. And if you have to, if you, I know your kids are not interested, but for example, if you have to, would you do a little bit differently?
Hmm. I don't know. I think that my kids are not really showing interest in acting. My daughter likes to dance a little bit, but not so much that she would want to do it competitively. And they kind of like singing. Like my son is probably gonna be a drummer. Like he's definitely showing signs. Like we have a drum set here, and so I'm like, okay, I should probably foster that a little bit. Um, I don't know. I'm not sure I would do anything differently. I was so blessed with my childhood and having parents that supported me and always made sure that I had a strong head on my shoulders and, you know, always did what was right and wouldn't accept roles that, like I didn't swear when I was a kid, right? I wouldn't take a role where like it required me to swear. And I still don't like that, and I know every family can do what they want, but still bothers me when I see a movie where they like have the kid swear. Like they have lines where like the kid is like, dropping the F-bomb or like dropping the S-bomb. Just like, I know it's funny for the movie, and I'm sure you're all like, oh, the 6-year-old said shit or whatever. Like, sure, it's funny, but in my head, I'm just like, the kid doesn't know what he's doing. Like you're telling the kid to say swear words on camera. It's like, I don't know. I don't like that stuff, but not my call. But yeah, I mean, I it's not that I would do anything differently, but I did learn a lot that I will now use as a parent. So, and the whole rejection thing is really big, and just comparison is a big thing that I got to drill into my daughter's head, especially where, like, growing up in acting, it's like if you lose out a role to another girl, it's really easy to be like, well, why is she better than me? Is she prettier than me? Is she more fun? Is she funnier than me? Like, why can't I be more like her? And there's a lot of that in the acting industry. So I can only imagine how much of that is happening at school and how much more it's going to happen in junior high and high school. So I'd say that's the biggest takeaway is that I'm just really going to hammer it into her head as much as I can. Just be like, hey, do not compare yourself to other girls. You are on your own path and you are special in your own way. You don't want to be a less good carbon copy of that girl. You want to be fully, uniquely yourself and just own it and be happy with your flaws because your flaws make you who you are. And yeah, I think I was told that a lot as a kid, but there's a lot of me not believing it. And I'm going to make sure Chloe believes it.
Yes, yes, and actually that's the most important thing for anyone, to be honest. Even as an adult, you get rejected a lot.
Oh, totally. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. And what about your skills? So were you always in so everything was acting related, huh? And music skills you developed over time?
Yeah, I was always singing from a really young age. It started out as like a lot of Broadway singing, and then I started doing opera singing. I had opera lessons. And then I did a little like country singing and like almost had a country record deal for a while when I was a kid. But country is like I like some country, but I'm not a country singer. Like I'm really glad that didn't develop for me. Like that just wouldn't have been good. But yeah, I've just acting is for a while was just what was working the best. It was what I was booking the most. First I was acting, and then I was hosting, and it was like hosting jobs. So you kind of like you pursue what's working for you at that time, right? So like at first I didn't want to be a host because I'm like I'm an actor. Like I'm not a host with a microphone. Like I want to be a character. But there were so many lucrative jobs for hosting that I kind of just forced myself to develop that skill set. And I've definitely made more money hosting than I ever did acting. And so, yeah, so then I shifted into more hosting. But for some reason, in the last couple of years, there hasn't really been a lot of hosting jobs, not a lot of acting jobs. And I always keep my skills up, my on-camera skills by like doing my podcast and, just doing like funny sketches. Like I just always have to be kind of, flexing my craft or whatever. But yeah, I've always loved music. It just never made sense before a couple years ago when I was invited to be in a band, in a metal band, actually, which I was so nervous about because I'm like, a metal band? Like, look at me, I'm not metal. Um, it turns out I'm much more metal than I thought I was. But I was able to add some of those operatic, because I'm a trained opera singer, I was adding like opera vocals into these metal songs, and it kind of added this really soft touch to these really harsh sounds. It worked out really well. But that band's not really around anymore, but that led me to meeting more musicians, and then those musicians wanted to work with me, and then I met even more musicians, and it just kind of snowballed from there to now I get to sing on some of the biggest stages in Las Vegas, which means they're some of the biggest stages in the world because Las Vegas is a place everybody wants to come and dreams of coming. So if I'm able to sing on a stage on Fremont Street, which is a massive tourist destination, like that's a pretty big deal. I just sang there last night. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I'm having the time of my life. There's a little bit of hosting involved because I'm on a mic and I'm talking to people and I'm being personable, so I get to use that. There's a little bit of acting because I want to have good stage presence so I can like act a little bit while I'm singing, and then I get to do music. Every skill helps another skill I've found. So, yeah.
Okay, absolutely. One more thing is that okay, before I let you go, because you said you have 40 minutes tops. So
Yeah.
Okay, do you want, okay, first of all, because I really want to know, were you handsome, not handsomely, but were you fairly paid when you were a child actor? Or do you had any clue?
Not really. I mean, I don't remember the exact numbers because my parents handled the finances and like I had Coogan account and like I mean I kept all my money. My parents didn't take any money of my money. But I mean I didn't get rich off it. Like
Mm.
the sad thing about at the time was that there was SAG and there was AFTRA. Now it's SAG AFTRA because they've merged. But Disney was SAG and Nickelodeon was AFTRA. SAG paid residuals, AFTRA did not. So I still get the occasional 4 cent check from my time on Even Stevens at Disney, and I will never see a dime from all that. I was a series regular on a big TV show for 4 years, and I never got a single residual, and I never will. So that's the crappy part. It's just the way it was back then. Now I think because they've merged, I think there's much more residuals happening, but yeah, it's crappy. I think it was common knowledge that Disney kids got paid way better than Nickelodeon kids. But whatever, I'd rather be a Nickelodeon kid. It was cooler. Our culture was cooler.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so if anyone is listening to you right now in any stage of life or any stage of their entertainment career, what would be Lisa's advice or words of wisdom to them?
One of my favorite things to ask people is what's the big dream? And sometimes it really takes people aback because I'll do it pretty soon into a conversation after meeting someone for the first time. That it's a big question and people are like, "Oh, thought we were going to talk about the weather for a few more minutes." But that's one of my favorite things to ask people is what is your big dream? Is sit screw your job, whatever you're doing right now, just put it all aside. If you had all the means possible, what would be your big dream? And most people's faces like light up and they're like, I would I'd be a mountain climber. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, like I make indie movies. Like I would travel the world. Like I would do whatever. I'm like, and I would say just never lose that part of you. He always think about what that question in the back of your mind. Obviously making money is important and having a job and all of that stuff. All of that is good. And yes, keep the gears moving on your life, raise your family, do all the things. But at your core, you're still you. You're still you, regardless of all the people in your life that you got to take care of and all the wheels, the plates you got to keep spinning. Never lose sight of what your big dream is because you only get to be on this earth for one life. And I think whatever your big dream is, it's worth pursuing. You don't have to quit your job to pursue it, but just never lose that part of you. I think that's really important.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. Any future projects that you want to talk about here?
Yes, please go check out my podcast. It's called Temperamental with Lisa Foyles. I upload it to both YouTube and all the podcast apps. It's a very silly show. I call it a short drive podcast because it's only 30 minutes, usually once a week. I'm kind of taking December off, so come back in January for new episodes. But yeah, and then if you're in Vegas, make sure to check my Instagram for wherever I'm performing and come see a show and we'll have a blast. But yeah, please follow me on Instagram at Lisa Foils. That is the best platform for updates and all of my posts and stuff like that. So
Yes, absolutely. And all of the information that Lisa has mentioned, it is on the description of the video below. And I might send you a collab request on YouTube just in case so that for the podcast on the YouTube so that we can connect there. So if
cool.
any traffic goes through your way, I would be really it would be really cool. The next thing, okay, I just wanted to ask since I saw we have some time. Uh,
Yeah.
as long as you're comfortable, how your motherhood changed the entertainment side of things, and how apart obviously it's a life-changing experience. Parenthood, it's a life-changing experience, but how it changed in your entertainment career?
I just never let it stop me. Yeah, I'm in my late 30s and I'm still running around on stage with cover bands and I could see how people without my drive and passion could look on the outside and be just like, she's a she's a mother and a wife and she's running around on stage in Las Vegas. Like, what is she doing? But I'm a big believer that age is just a number and you're only as old as you feel. And any like age judgments shouldn't exist. Just do what you want. I mean, Dita Von Teese is like what in her mid 40s, late 40s, whatever. She's still doing her striptease show. Like, good for her. Keep doing it. I hope she does it till she's 90. Um, I think it would just experiencing it now, having had two children and going through the process of like you don't just dedicate 9 months to being pregnant, like you then have to take care of a newborn for like many years after that. And to get the kids to the age where they're like a little more self-sufficient, you're a little more comfortable leaving them for hours at a time with a babysitter or a family member. That was a massive chunk of time that I had to take off and not really act or do my thing. And I just didn't let it stop me. In fact, I had a couple hosting gigs that even when I was pregnant, I just would zoom the camera in a little bit more so that just couldn't tell I was pregnant. I just kept doing my jobs. And um, yeah, but I just have the natural drive to do it. And some people don't, some people do. But um, I see it as I don't, I think it would be a disservice to my children to set an example of I quit all my dreams to make sure that you were taken care of. I think that's doing them a massive disservice. I like the fact that they go to school and they tell their friends that their mom's a rock star. I love the fact that Chloe is going to realize that she can be a singer in Vegas into her 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever she wants. Chase your dream. You need to feel fulfilled as a person, like chase your passion. Um, Kids are resilient and they are smarter than we give them credit for. So I want to make sure Chloe knows that she can be the strong boss lady that she wants to be.
Yes, absolutely. And kids and people in general are really resilient. And I think a lot of time people surprise themselves how resilient they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it was really fun to talk to you,
Yes,
and
season two.
I really thank you for taking out time in your busy schedule for me, for a little unknown podcast. Thank you very much for that.
No, I think you're doing great. I mean, most podcasts fail in like the first three episodes just because people don't keep it up. Like any podcast that keeps going is just keep doing their thing. Like I'm so impressed with it, and congratulations on coming this far. Keep going. It's been a pleasure to talk to
Thank you. Thank you very much. And cut. Okay.
you.
Please, 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 I'm begging you. Please. I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. Please subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe for more content.
Subscribe to my channel.